This is Lindsay Williams, and you're listening to the Drunkard United show. Bless your little cotton socks.
Yes, bless all of our little cotton socks. We have Mel being very happy. I thought I'd give her the little shout today with Villa.
Yeah, good for her.
It's been a good week for her. Yeah, it's been a good week.
Good for her.
The sad part is Tottenham's going to fuck it off, and it's going to be against Leeds, and it's going to fuck my team over. Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Huston.
Sam Huston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of Malört. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Huston, and across the way from me, Father of the Year, giving out all the nutritious breakfasts, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing, brother?
Bacon.
Pile o' bacon. Only thing that child was missing was a black coffee and a pack of smokes.
It's bacon. That's what's for breakfast.
It's bacon! What does the bag say? I can't read! It's bacon! There's another old reference. There are some people out there. We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Please be sure to rate, subscribe, review, and share with a footballing friend. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Absolutely. It is at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we've vowed to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham, gin binge continues, but we're afar. You are in lovely Baltimore and I am down here in beautiful Annapolis. What gin and tonic are you drinking tonight?
So I went with one that I represent, of course, Grey Whale Gin, which we've done on the show before. It's a new one, relatively new one from Deutsch, only been around for about 18 months. All of the ingredients are sourced from the California coast, and that includes Baja California as well. It's made with juniper limes, fir tree, sea kelp, mint, and almonds. It is 86 proof. The almonds actually are what gives it quite a creamy mouthfeel, almost like if you think Tito's vodka, it almost has the same kind of mouthfeel as Tito's does. Just obviously with a lot more flavor because it's gin, not vodka. The sea kelp gives it a little brininess. Sorry, I had to step away. I thought my tonic was a twist top, and it is not a twist top.
No, it is not.
So I need to
Use your
find
teeth.
a can opener.
Just use the side of the counter. You don't own that house anymore. Or, well, hold on. You do own that house. You own two houses now.
$1 million.
Now I own two
in
houses.
debt.
Exactly right. I am in loads of debt. So I chose the sparkling Sicilian lemonade.
Ooh, okay.
From Fever Tree.
Very nice.
To go with this one. Yeah, so kind of almost, I mean, it is a lemonade, but it is delicious.
It's a Collins.
And really highlights the citrus notes. Really highlights the citrus notes in this gin. And that brininess, I hope, will really come out, as well as the mint, because mint and lemon, I think, is delicious as well.
Fantastic flavor combination, definitely. Doing strawberry mint or blueberry mint or strawberry basil, blueberry basil, all of those really work well with lemonade. Lovely. How much does your gin typically run on the shelf?
Usually about $29.99, but between there and $34.99, depending on what deal the store buys.
Very good, very good.
Because
Now
they have a case one price and then they jump all the way up to a 3-case price, so it can vary. It's about $3 difference in wholesale cost.
Yeah. That makes a good price point difference as long as you're moving the volume to do it. You know, it's great.
Absolutely.
Be at the right competitive price, that's for sure. Now, for us,
yeah, but it's freaking delicious. I love this.
We also went, and now we're gonna have a citrus tonic, but the citrus is grapefruit. So instead of being like a sparkling lemonade, we have a grapefruit tonic that we're working with tonight. And this, I'm not going to promote the brand. It's the one from Total. It's their house mixers. But I did it with Starlight Gin, which is based out of Indiana. We've had some of their whiskeys before on the show, a couple of different single barrels from them. The fun thing with this, a lot of anise, like anise root, so licorice kind of thing going on with the gin, and it strangely plays well with the grapefruit. The citrus and the licorice actually it works.
The juniper gets lost, which isn't a bad thing because you get a lot of other interesting herbs that get to take front and center when the juniper finally gets toned down. Yeah. I really like that licorice back finish. Kind of has like that Mike and Ike kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, I definitely give you that. It's a lovely little finish. The tonic water for me could have a little more grapefruit bitterness to it. It's got that peel brininess to it, but quinine already has that brininess to it. So I would like a little more citrus to it, but it's a good little combination. I'm enjoying it.
So if we do another round before injury time, what about adding the gooseberries?
Ooh, I could definitely do that.
Yeah, gooseberry. I'll bring that in for you.
Throw a couple of gooseberries in. I can do that for you, Mrs.
We're
Huston.
fancy, Graham.
I think I might need that for sound check next week.
I can make that happen for you. What else do we always have to do, Mr. Graham?
Always remember to drink responsibly unless you're getting criticized for your child's eating habits.
Very good. Then
do whatever you want.
Heard. All right. So internet cheers for you, Mr. Graham, as I cheers producer Mel. Very good. This is not a fun segment to do, Mr. Graham. It's a regrettable segment, but it's one we do every single year.
Yep.
Relegation has taken its first club. Fulham 2, Southampton 0. The Saints are the first to get relegated, and unfortunately, we all kind of saw this coming.
Yeah, we did. It is sad. Absolutely, especially because one of our very good friends and member of our fantasy league and contributing member frequently to the show, Kenny,
Patreon guy,
is a supporter of Southampton Football Club, but they have made a series of decisions over the last few years that have led them to this position. Financially, they've been irresponsible. In general, which led them to being unable to invest in the club this past summer for real, in any real means. Now, they did buy some young players. Those young players have since not panned out, really. They fired a decent manager, got in an absolute psychopath who actually took them down 2 places, and they gave him way too long, that manager. They didn't give the previous manager, Ralph Hasenhüttl, long enough, and Nathan Jones they gave way too long, in my opinion.
He'll always have beating Everton, his only win.
Right.
His only win.
Now, we have, these last, 8 games or so has turned back for this current manager who I didn't even bother to learn his name, to be honest, because I didn't think he was going to be around that long. But he did pick up 2 wins and 3 draws. If you go to a third manager,
you're normally going down.
Yeah, he did pick up 2 wins and 3 draws, so he did double, actually treble the point total that Nathan Jones did in terms of points on the board versus wins that Nathan Jones got. But I think he actually has a plan. Southampton were playing better; they're just not very good. At the end of the day, I thought they showed glimpses of being all right, not necessarily in this game, just over the last 4 or 5 games. It showed glimpses of, maybe having the facilities to deal with the championship. But the Premier League was a step too far. These players need experience. They need time together. They need a cohesive plan. They look lost out there. And much like Norwich finished the campaign, was it last season or season before, whatever it was? I think it was last season. Southampton kind of go out without even a whimper. They didn't have many chances in this game. The 2 times they almost did something. One of them did score, was offside, and the other one didn't score but was close and was also offside. And Fulham weren't really at the races. And Mitrovic, not having played in 8 games, came in and within 4 minutes it was or something from coming on the pitch, scored a goal.
Yeah,
a diving header that he shouldn't have been allowed to get on the end of. It just all around just hasn't been good enough from Southampton in general this season, and it's really sad to say. And because we know somebody who supports this club, but I've been saying it since it happened at Cardiff when they did the little airplane thing a few years back after that transfer signing for Cardiff died in the plane crash. I've been wanting them to go down in general. They need to kick up the arse and to do things the right way. And finally they got that chance. I feel bad for my friend, but not for the club.
Interesting. James Ward-Prowse talked with NBC Sports over here in America after the match, and it was very pointed, some of the criticisms that he made. And one being at the appointment of Nathan Jones. He said in the middle of the season, we got it wrong as a club. That's directed right at the front office. That's you hired the wrong guy, and that is your talismanic captain. That is a guy who has been with your club his entire life and will not be with your club when you go down to the championship. He's one of the few sellable assets you have.
That's the surprising bit of this comment is you need these people to sell you.
Yeah.
So why would you level that sort of criticism against them right before you need them to do you a solid?
Well, it was even more pointed after the fact. After that, he flat out said, he goes, we were never right from the first day of training. Because that then goes back to Hasenhüttl. That also goes back to him then with the board going, you didn't give us the pieces we needed to be successful, and you expected me to score a bunch of free kick goals. At
well, he also did his bit though. He did what he was supposed to do.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he definitely did. Now, where do we think this leaves Southampton as a whole as they go down? I'll go first since
That's a difficult question.
I was going to say you were puffing on the vape there.
That's a difficult question. Yeah, well, I was thinking because it's a really difficult question because they are in a situation where they have a couple serviceable strikers in the championship. They've proven serviceable strikers in Stuart Armstrong and Che Adams.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get to.
Both of those players, though, need service. They don't really create on their own. And if James Ward-Prowse does leave, which everyone pretty much uniformly, from the BBC all the way down to us schmucks, all the way over to the psychos that are Keys and Gray, believe that James Ward-Prowse is leaving Southampton Football Club. What service are they going to get? You know what I mean? Without that sort of player there. Now, that being said, if they hold on to people like Walker Peters and Ainsley Maitland-Niles and some of those kind of people, there is a chance, sure, that they'll be able to, because those players are Premier League players, those couple of players. But I think those strikers will fire them, back up into the Premier League within a season or two.
And do they keep Lavia is going to be the big one for me.
Yeah, the biggest problem with their finances, they're going to have to fire sale some players. And Che Adams could get you $15 million from, somebody. Could get you $15 million from somebody that's, kind of floundering in the league that needs somebody off the bench. A
very desperate Everton paid $15 million for Mopé because we had no strikers with Calvert-Lewin getting injured, and we were fucked. And we just threw $15 million at a guy who got us one goal and really hasn't offered much and is going to walk at the end of the season. I guarantee you there's going to be people like us or Leeds or, if Leeds stays up or Forest, who knows, because they just want to buy everybody anyways. But there's going to be clubs that are going to need some strikers. And there could be that guy gets picked up. Now, I also think, though, too, like you said, if both those two stay down, that's 220 goal scorers in the championship. Like, they gonna score goals. Like, who knows how many they're going to give up, but they're going to score goals. I'm really interested to see, as a whole, how does this all shape out for them? How many people do they lose? How much do they have to rely on their farm system? They are young. That's the positive, right? If they don't lose many of these guys, they're a very young team. They should be okay in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be the positive, is that those games, as we talk about and joke about every season, come thick and fast. That is not a league made for somebody like James Milner or, Gareth Barry back in the day. That is not a league made for an elder statesman. That is a league made for a young buck that, young, dumb, and full of cum, let's be honest. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. It's like going out in Federal Hill here in Baltimore, right? If you're not 25 and younger, that ain't for you. If you're over 25, you need to go down to Fells where it's a little slower. You know what I'm saying?
You go down to Fells where you can feed your child heaping plates of bacon.
Yeah. I mean, it's a regular occurrence. That's it.
Yeah. I'm intrigued to see what happens, but unfortunately, the Premier League, like every season, has caught its first victim. The title is all but decided as City win and Arsenal lose. But each of their opponents had storylines too. One moves closer to Europe, and the other stays safe while holding on to goal differential. Manchester City 3, Everton 0, Brighton 3, Arsenal 0. Toffees were tough as shit for the first 30. I mean, it took an unbelievable goal from Gundogan to break that stalemate.
I think both of these games have the same context. Brighton were looking to avenge their 5-1 defeat to you last week. Mm-hmm. Kind of same way, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Manchester United. They did after losing to Forest or whatever it was a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Wolves. It was Wolves that they beat 6-0 or 6-1.
Wolves. Yeah. Wolves. You're right. Manchester United was last weekend. Yeah, you're right. So this was difficult for a couple of reasons for both teams, but it was the same sort of situation for Everton and Arsenal. Once that first goal went in from our opposition, it was over.
It was done.
It. There was no coming back. It didn't matter what happened. That was it. Both of us held out for a long time. Both of us showed a lot of fight, a lot of steel. Obviously, you could see the Arsenal players, having known the result from City, looked a bit all over the place to begin with. They tried to literally fight for it. It was very chippy in those opening stages. Everton, in the same regard, tried to have a foray forward here and there. Forced Ederson actually into a pretty good save early on.
Yeah.
And had that goal gone in, would have been a little bit different, I think. But Gundogan pulls that magic out of nowhere.
Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do on that goal? You're not going to do anything.
What are you supposed to do?
Right.
Exactly right. And it was no surprise. He turned provider, 2 minutes later, 3 minutes later?
Gorgeous
and
cross.
Just clipped that ball to Haaland. Now, what I found funny is, do you ever remember playing Super Mario on regular Nintendo back in the day?
Yes, I do.
And you would push the button expecting, one of the little things to move or a bullet to shoot out at you or whatever, and you would jump Mario, and he would be jumping and going. And then you'd go, oh, fuck, and try to pull him back. That's what Pickford looked like.
Oh, yeah, Pickford was going one way and then just went, ah!
It was like,
what?
It was like you jumped for that moving platform and then it moved a little too fast and he was trying to get back, but he couldn't quite get there.
What's silly about that is he still got a hand to that fucking thing. That's what was even crazier. Right? What was funny up until that point, too, and this is where I got to mention that Pep gonna Pep, right, is Mina was doing exactly what Mina does. He was just out there being a shithouse. Like, right. Him and Holland got a talking to 3 minutes into that match. Like, immediately the center official was like, you two right now, fucking stop it. Both of you. Stop being assholes. Stop it now. And Mina, at the end of the match, apparently Pep went walking up to him and decided to have one of his one-on-ones that he likes to have with opposing players.
Like with Nathan Redmond back in the day, and yeah.
Pep apparently had led on to it in his presser. He was like, I was just telling him he's a much more talented player than that. He's a very talented player. He doesn't need to do that kind of stuff. Like, yes, Yerry Mina does. Yerry Mina lives... Pep, you need to understand the role of a shithouser. Like, they live for this shit. It's like, they absolutely live for this shit.
Have you ever once watched a game from a South American team?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's just being normal. Like, leave him alone. And he's doing what he does.
I also love our boy Ryan from the American Toffee Pot. I was listening to their show today, and he's just like, shut up, Pep. Like, you don't have your guys do this. Like, just shut up. Like, oh, there's the guys who play against you are supposed to play this classy, professional style of football, but you all can fucking have a piss. Go right the hell ahead, but nobody else can.
So this is a weird thing that I heard today too, is the Pep kind of weirdness, right? We all know he's a fucking pervert for football.
Oh yeah.
Is the fact that he's very quick to do exactly what you're saying, the praising after the fact. You're an amazing talent, you're this, you're that, you're better than this, why are you doing it this way, da 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 da. But I thought it was very interesting to see how he reacted to Big Sam's comments last week.
Yeah.
Or over the weekend, rather, or whatever. Midweek. How he reacted to Big Sam's comments, because he got preempted with the mind games.
Mm-hmm.
When he said what he said. And he almost, not necessarily looked flustered per se, but he did not look in his press conference. He did not look on his game, if you will.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed. So that I found interesting, but there's something comforting about seeing Pep revert to type and coaching opposition players after they had a comfortable 3-0 win.
Something very interesting also that happened at the end of the match is the ushers made this giant rectangle around the tunnel going out. And it was like, are y'all like preparing for something? Because it's not like the boards here at the fucking game. Like, we don't need to protect them from imaginary headlocks. We'll be okay.
Well, I was going to say, they just want to make sure Pep could, well, you can't get Pep in a headlock because he's bold. He just slide right out.
Slide right out. Now, for Everton, also worth mentioning, the gun to win free kick was nasty. Like,
that was dirty. That was dirty as fuck.
So dirty. Then worth mentioning for Everton, the key thing, get out of this without losing 4-0. They didn't lose 4-0. This was the free pass game, right? It was like, play them tough. If something happened in that first half, awesome. You got a chance. The minute the game started to get away, Dom gets pulled at halftime. He did say his groin was hurting and wanted to stay on. And Dyche was like, nope, pulling you off the pitch right now because I need you for the next two.
You for the last 2 games. Yeah.
I don't need you to nick me one here. I need you to get me a couple in the next 2 matches. That's what I need for you.
Well, here's the other thing. Here's the other thing I find interesting about what you just said. This was the free hit game was your quote, right? Which we've talked about. I agree with that sentiment. Somebody I was listening to this morning said essentially the same thing. Like, Arsenal, it seems like coming back from the World Cup, there were a lot of teams that just went, we're not going to get 3 points anyway, so we might as well try to stand up to them and play. And they didn't actually go into the game against Man City over the last couple of months with any sort of real game plan.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of the season, you look at like the Newcastle 3-3, and you look at a couple of these other games that they dropped points in, which gave us our lead to begin with. And they were fallible, Man City. But after the World Cup, for whatever reason, don't know why, a lot of teams stopped doing that and just went, well, I guess we might as well not even play this weekend. It's like a glorified training session.
Right.
And I wonder how much of that mentality actually played into a lot of the results over the last couple of months, because you can see teams that turn up that normally give City a game and just got walloped, you know? And I don't think it was City being that devastating, honestly. I mean, they've had their moments where they've looked quite shaky.
Everton had chances, and when Everton changed up their formation after the third goal, they went, we're going to 3 in the back, we're going to put in wing backs. Everton then took 73% of the ball for like the next 20 minutes. Like they took it to them. But what Everton wasn't going to do is Everton wasn't going to give up a fourth goal. That wasn't going to happen. And like Idrissa Gueye gets subbed out. Why? Because you need him for Wolves and for Bournemouth. You don't need him for this. And it was, obviously this all blows up in Everton's face if they don't, win at Wolves or they end up losing their last 2 and they go down. But, it wasn't bad from them. And again, you didn't give up 4. You kept goal differential. And that goal equals 3 points this time of the year.
I also think somebody here that could be playing for his job if you stay up. Well, it depends on what these FFP regulations, I guess, turn back. But somebody that might be on auction is Decore.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was very poor in this game. I thought he gave the ball away cheaply. There were 2 or 3 times that you were turning the screw and could have done something, and Decore had a heavy touch or a stray pass or a bad trap or whatever, and allowed City to recover and move on. And then, like we both said over and over again so far, is once that first goal went in, it was done.
Yeah.
I thought of Iwobi. If he's not your next captain, I don't know who the fuck is.
Yeah, you did. I would agree.
He's been this season. He's been your fucking bright spot.
Yeah, in defense of Decore, I would say the goods outweigh the bads, and he's also the kind of player that fits right into a Dyche system. He needs that high energy midfielder who's going to run all over the fucking place and be a motor, and that's what Decore's been for the most part. Yes, there was the.
I mean that part's fair. Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah.
But is Dyche your long-term goal, or is he your 6-month guy to keep you up?
I think Dyche.
Is he going to be there?
If we stay up, I think Dyche is the manager next season, and I think he's got the whole year. I think it's what we talked about before. It's the work towards improving the side as a whole is what I'm getting.
I got you, yeah.
But before we hit yours, let me go ahead and do my shot of Malört real quick. It was expected. Here's hoping I do 0 more the rest of the season. Lovely, horrible. Blah, blah.
Well, you've been getting used to it this year.
Yeah, still doesn't taste good. Just because, you know what? Just because you eat dog shit a lot doesn't mean you like the taste of dog shit, Sam.
This is only my 5th one that I'm about to do.
Well, on to you guys there, too. Here's one thing that people overlook is Brighton's had your number, and Brighton's had your number in your building, too, as of late, over the past several years. They've really done well against you, and you're right. It was unfortunately for you guys, knowing the result, going out there trying to push the action, which was exactly what they wanted you to do.
Exactly, 100%.
And that ass whooping certainly didn't help them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it kind of, it's a shame. I said it a couple of weeks ago when we lost to City. I'll say it again now, and it sounds now cliched because there is a lot of Arsenal internet being Arsenal internet, right? I didn't buy into this entire title challenge until mid-March when we beat United.
Right.
I spoke to you about this before.
Yep.
It only took them 6 weeks to disappoint me again.
Right.
So I'm happy with our season.
You're playing Champions League ball.
I'm absolutely happy with our season. We are guaranteed a direct spot into the Champions League group stage. Yeah. We don't have to worry about these early qualifiers. We can have a full, proper preseason. We're working with players, and they're already talking about bringing people in early, and that's great. What I want to see now, what I think is very important, is how we respond in the next couple games. The title is gone, and it's a shame that it kind of petered out the way it petered out, draws and losses against much lower opposition. I mean, you're talking about Southampton, West Ham.
Yeah.
Liverpool this season, albeit at Anfield, Liverpool this season is lesser opposition to Arsenal.
You had them. General. You were up 2-0 on them. You were up 2-0.
And we handedly beat them. Yeah, and we handedly beat them in our building. Kind of comprehensively beat them in our building. So it's a bit of a shame that it came down to these couple of results against teams that we should be beating. We should be getting points against pretty easily. And it speaks to our depth. We don't have a game changer. If it's not working, we're kind of done for, right? We don't – like Reece Nelson did great that one time.
Yeah.
I don't mind him as a player. I think he's good off the bench. I think he's he can do a job. But if he's going to be our fucking off the bench talisman, that we're in a bad situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not good. And in this game in particular, when Martinelli went out and we were unable to really stretch the play, I think it played right into Brighton's hands, like you said, because we had to go up the pitch with Trossard playing on the same side as the Brighton fans for most of that first half.
Right.
When he came on, there was no way anything else was going to happen. So it's difficult. It's a kick in the nuts. I let myself believe, and I got disappointed. But overall, good season, happy season, back in the Champions League. If we can finish on a 2-game, win streak, if we can put the stones to fucking Forest on Saturday and then finish the season out properly, I think that we'll have a good summer of recruitment. If we go out and lose to Forest or draw Forest in a kind of a mediocre way, and then kind of just peter the season out to no real avail in the last game, I think some clubs might look at that, or some players rather might look at that and go, their mentality might not be right. They're very good, but I don't know if I want to join them if they're these mentality mouses.
Right.
If these little critters and not kind of monstrous about it. You know what I mean?
Go ahead and get that Malört ready because we're just about done with the segment here. But there's a few thoughts on that too. You wonder then, if you don't win those last two, does suddenly Martinelli get his head turned by a Barca? Does suddenly does suddenly a United or a Chelsea or a City suddenly go, oh, you know what? We really fancy Saka. We're just going to go ahead and offer you 80 million for him right now. And then suddenly it goes back to being the Arsenal that got to Champions League under Wenger and slowly fell away because every quality player you had ultimately got sold. And it's very important you finish the season strong.
What I disagree with there is Martinelli's been there from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Saka's been obviously a product of our academy.
Of course.
Those two players in particular, just because those were the examples you used. Edu was such a father figure to Martinelli that I think he's safe. They didn't really loan him out a ton. He was one that was kept in the squad and kept training with the first team for 4 or 5 years, and then finally brought through. And then Saka just being a part of our academy. I think they both have bought in to what Arteta's doing and the project. They're both excelling. They're both starting for their national teams. They're both very important players for their national teams. And I think that they have, I'd like to think as much as a modern player can have loyalty, I think those two in particular do, because they are vital to what Arsenal does.
Fair enough. I'm just meaning that as an example, Sam. I'm trying to keep it rolling here. I didn't mean to open a diatribe about it.
I'm just saying if they're buying in, because they're so important, the rest of the squad, there's no other way for them to go. They have to buy into it.
Okay, fair enough.
Because those two have been so important. And I think they'll stick around. I don't think anybody's going to be able to pick them off personally, but I've been wrong before.
All right, do that shot of Malört. As he's fucking taking it to the neck. Look at him killing that bottle. That a boy. Nicely done. Let's say my bottle here is getting pretty low too. It's going to be time to go buy another bottle this week, because there's a chance there might be more shots in our future.
This season.
Well, Mel's team really sucked at the start of the season, and my team sucked all fucking season. Now what's interesting for Brighton, they jump up to 6th place, and it's really looking like it's either Villa or Spurs who are going to be left looking on the outside looking in, and we're about to get to what the hell happened with those two clubs. Rounding out the rest of the league in so that happened. So my pages are going to stick together. Jesus, what a mess. Leeds 2, Newcastle 2, Villa 2, Tottenham 1, Chelsea 2, Forest 2, Palace 2, Bournemouth 0, Man U 2, Wolves 0, Brentford 2, West Ham 0, Liverpool 3, Leicester 0. Leeds get a big point. That's exactly the kind of bullshit Sam Allardyce does, man. Home against the team
this is 2 points dropped.
Yeah.
Leeds should have won this game, hands down.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why.
Well, you got to make a penalty.
2 words for you. There's 2 words and a bad mustache. Junior Firpo. He did everything he could do to fuck his own team over.
Mm-hmm.
Gave away a penalty, got red carded eventually, finally. Should have been red carded earlier. Had a few offenses, gave away numerous dangerous free kicks. He was an absolute fucking shit show, Junior Firpo. And if it wasn't for him, Leeds would have won this game. Now, yes, you're right. It is a massive point. In the context of the season, it's important that they got this point that they didn't expect. But the 2 points dropped in my mind, and not enough people are talking about it. Junior Firpo cost them 2 points. They could have been out of the relegation zone and just about safe by now, except for him.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not
He's
wrong.
Like, he also looks like if you cast you remember what was the Navy diving movie with Cuba Gooding Jr.?
I remember it. I don't remember the name, but I know the one you're talking about.
Men of Honor. Men of Honor is the name of the movie. Men of Honor. If you did a parody porn of Men of Honor, Junior Firpo would be Cuba Gooding Jr.
For Newcastle, Champions League isn't guaranteed yet because Liverpool is right on their ass, and Manchester United's right there with them on even on points as well, I believe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's important for those two clubs as well, because whichever one finishes in 4th obviously has to do their qualification round in, kind of late July, early August, which kind of truncates and, screws up your preseason.
Yes, it does.
Which I think both teams need. I think the Saudi money might actually flex this summer because of where they're finishing and because they're in the Champions League. They won't want to get embarrassed. And Eddie Howe will, especially not being a very big name in the managerial game, will have to have all summer to work with these players that they're going to bring in my opinion. There's still talk of Neymar. There's still talk of, some people that could be locker room nightmares.
Yeah.
Being signed. And if Hal doesn't have a full, unadulterated summer to work with these players, I think Newcastle could start very shakily next season. They need to finish in third place, I think, more so than Manchester United, simply because Eric Ten Hag is a big name, and Eric Ten Hag has that reputation, and now has a full season under his belt with them. And I don't think Manchester United are really going to buy a shitload of players. I think they'll add one or two pieces they actually need because they have a football man in charge now. They have a Dutchman that's going to tell whatever, commercial person, I don't care about selling shirts, you cunt. We're going to do it this way.
The Dutch, a literal people. Moving on to the next one. The score line does not do this game any justice. Villa fucked Tottenham. Villa was in form in this match.
Yeah, they needed the referee to bail him out to get a penalty there.
For Tottenham? Oh, God, that was soft. God, that was soft.
That was definitely a Big Six penalty.
Yeah, I mean, he touched the ball one way and then turned his body into Emi Martinez and went over top of him. It was like he just wanted to make sure as long as I touch the ball, I'll get the penalty.
Yeah.
And he totally touched the ball. Like, he didn't go with the ball. It was like, oh, yeah.
That's because Harry Kane knew he couldn't get around that ass.
That was
now Emi Martinez came up huge in a lot of situations in this game. I thought Villa lived a little dangerously, to be honest, despite their dominance on the ball. I thought they lived a little dangerously.
A lot of those saves ultimately didn't count, though, because they were offsides. Got to remember, a lot of those saves that Emi made didn't count because ultimately Spurs were offsides.
Well, and they kept.
Well, I'm thinking the biggest one was when was it Douglas Luiz got caught in possession and Harry Kane was on the edge of the box by himself, and you would expect them to bury it. Emi Martinez was at full stretch, beautiful big hands to it. It was a fantastic save against one of the best finishers in the world, to be honest. Was absolutely excellent, and that's one of those things. And I'll come on to the West Ham game. That's one of those moments where a save happens and it galvanizes the team. And Villa then decided to push forward and control the rest of the game. West Ham, on the other hand, when they had their goalmouth scramble and it was awesome, and Fabianski got all big, they then conceded a second one about 4 minutes later.
Yeah, exactly. The other big thing, Mel.
Yeah.
You were talking about that ass.
Just
your boy was all in the dome, and it's a rather large dome of Harry Kane.
Oh yeah, McGinn versus Kane was fun to watch, and that there were so many levels of drama beyond Villa Tottenham. There was also a little Scotland England going on in that one.
I would
Kane couldn't make a move without McGinn being on him.
I would just love to think in my own brain that at some point, he looked at Harry Kane and went, I can't blame you for being English. You're just a wanker. But we're colonized by a bunch of fucking wankers.
Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, and John McGinn colonized his ass back.
Douglas Luiz did an interview and he said, the atmosphere here is crazy. I'm so happy to be here playing at Villa Park. It's a dream. And we believe in Unai Emery, and we're so happy with him. And it shows on the pitch.
Next one's a big one. You go to Liverpool, and if you can get out of
I'm going in cocky, dude.
You can get
all the bants.
You can get out of that with a point, right? You get a point in that match. The end of the season, I'm telling you, Leeds is probably beating Spurs at home. And that, especially if it comes down to they need to win that game to stay up, I would not be surprised if Leeds wins that fucking game. And I wouldn't be surprised. Spurs are the kind of team to piss it off.
Absolutely, 100%. Especially because by that point they won't have anything to play for. I have a question about Douglas Luiz.
Uh-huh.
When he gave that interview, is he trying to get back with his ex who's still on Villa's women's team or no?
I don't know.
Is he trying to reassure her that he's going to still be there?
I don't want to comment on Ashley's schedule. Thank you very much.
And remember, Ashley, the second best asset of fucking Villa. Mr. McGinn holds 100%. The 1 seed.
My goodness.
Chelsea and Forest. There's not really a lot to talk about this other than for Forest, this is a massive point. This is Everton got a point at the bridge as well. Like if you're gonna stay up, you got a team that's a wounded animal, and Chelsea, go get something out of it, right? Definitely go get something out of it.
Yeah.
Mendy,
they were very organized, Forest, in this game. Very organized. Mm-hmm. Chelsea had a tough time breaking them down, which they've had trouble doing the entire season, really. And if it wasn't for the, kind of solo effort by Raheem Sterling, Chelsea would have lost this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that Awoni, who's been criticized over and over again, oftentimes by me this season, has stepped up over the last few weeks and really taken the responsibility of this Forest team and their survival bid on his own shoulders. That's been awesome to watch.
If this team stays up,
and it also helps that I have him in my fantasy team.
If this team stays up, he's going to be very paramount for them next year. I think he's a 15 goal scorer for them. I think he will, because he's going to be the starting striker next season. It's his job to lose. And I think if they stay,
and I think he's figured the league out in general. And as long as, again, they don't add too many people, I think they have the requisite quality. Yeah. They just need to figure out their own system and a set 16 to 18 players that they regularly use.
Yeah, it's now time to sell off some of those other guys. Move on from some people. That's for darn sure. I think, the Jesse Lingard experiment was nice, but move on.
Exactly. Once they get that core, I think they'll be a lot better off than they were this season, 100%.
The big news, though, for Chelsea that we're looking towards, I was going to mention, we're just in passing real quick, Mendy gets his first start since coming back from his injury, and he hasn't been playing for a while. Did not look good at all. Both of those goals for Awoni,
no, it's terrible.
He could have done better with. Awoni made sure it went in the back of the net, but Mendy could have done better. But the big news, suddenly out of right field, oh shit, Poch is going to be the coach next season. Bowley gonna bowley, man. Bowley gonna splash that cash, make that shit rain.
100%. And I'm sure it's going to also include a couple of swap players for Harry Kane.
Yep, we were talking about that off mic.
Actually installed.
Yep, do not disagree. Let's keep it moving, though. Really not much else to say on that one. These next couple, there's something in the Brentford-West Ham match to really talk about. But Palace over Bournemouth, it was whoever scored the first goal first was going to roll, and it was Palace, and it was Eze, and Eze, fell out of favor with Vieira. And if there's one thing that you could say Roy's gotten right is Eze's been playing, and Eze's been fucking producing. Like 3 braces since he's been playing for Eze. For Roy.
Vieira didn't play him. Yeah, I don't know why Vieira didn't play him very much once he came back from that injury. He's been talismanic, Eze. I mean, more so than Zaha, to be honest, because they still got a few results after Zaha got hurt, and it was on the back of Eze.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Cherries, I mean, we always want to try to talk about all the teams. There's really not much more to say about the Cherries. They're comfortably safe. They're worrying about how they're going to invest their money next. And fair to them. You know what? If you're a newly promoted team, you don't want to be. You've done exactly what you needed to be done. You don't need to be talked about. It's 100%. Okay. On to next year.
Gary O'Neill, rather, has done an excellent job.
Yeah. On to next year. Don't even worry about it.
He's done an excellent job.
Man U and Wolves. Wolves kept it tight just because their defense can keep them in matches, but this could have been a lot worse. United could have scored a lot more.
It was super, super comfortable for United.
Yeah.
And if the chances that came fell to anyone other than Anthony, they'd have won 5-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. And for Wolves, again,
but he had 3 shots off target that should have been on target, and then one that was on target but saved very well by the backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, what United needs to be very careful of is to make sure that ultimately Liverpool doesn't pass them. Right, that's what they got to do, and they're probably going to be okay. They still have their game in hand to play this week against Chelsea, which should be a win for them. Should be a win for them, and that should put them where they need to be.
Hopefully for them, Rashford's back as well.
Right, and for Wolves, I did the whole lot of Wolves show before we did this tonight to preview Everton. Of course, you've done the show with them before as well. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was talking about Wolves since that loss to Leeds, the 4-2 loss to Leeds. They've been great at home. They've won 4 at home, and they've lost almost everything on the road. Now, the only difference in this is the 4 that they won where, again, it was like, okay, Villa's playing for something, but it's also a derby officially for them. It's, they beat Chelsea, but Chelsea's been god-awful. They beat West Ham, but West Ham's been god-awful, at least on the road, right? I'm not saying Brentford's been god-awful all year. They haven't, but they've been quite good. But that and Chelsea and they beat Palace at home, right? So they've won their games at home. The only difference is they're playing a team with their back against the wall. That's what's going to be different. But for the most part, Wolves is a lot like Bournemouth. They're on Dubai time already, baby. Just, we did what we did. Yep. We survived. We're okay. Let's move on to next year. Now, the Brentford-West Ham game is interesting because it felt like West Ham's defense let down Fabianski, but it was only after Fabianski let down West Ham by giving up a pretty bad goal on the first one.
Pretty tame goal, that the Emblemo goal. I felt he could have done better with it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But there was a moment, it was still 1-0, I think, when this massive kind of 14-player goal-mouth scramble, save and then block and then header out and then but not very far, and then somebody volleyed back in, and then Ben Mee got on the end of it, and then there was another header, and then it got deflected by Ben Mee again, and it was a proper thing. And Fabianski got up and celebrated like he scored a fucking goal.
Yeah, he made 3 fucking he made 7 saves in that match. He made a couple of more fucking worldies.
That should have been the moment where West Ham went, let's do this together. Fuck yeah, this is our day.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 minutes later, whatever it was, they let Johan Wissa fucking just head in uncontested, no problem.
Yep. Yeah, it was, and because of that, they're probably safe.
Ridiculous.
West Ham are probably safe, but their schedule is Leeds and Leicester, and if they lose both of those games, they will go down. If they lose both of those matches, they are fucking going down, because there'll be enough teams, because Leicester and Leeds will have gotten those quote-unquote 6-pointers over them, and God forbid Everton wins one of their 2, and Forest find a way to get a point at Palace, fucking West Ham will go down. So it's a relief for me, not a relief for the Leeds supporters. It's a relief for me knowing West Ham got to play. West Ham's got to show up this next week to play Leeds, because they need at least a point.
Well, what's good in West Ham's situation is they only have a -14 goal differential, and I don't think they're going to lose to Leeds 5-0. No. Which they will need to do to put them in a problematic situation in terms of goal difference.
Right.
And they are still 5 points clear of you and 6 points clear of Leeds.
Okay.
But Leeds have an 11-goal worse goal differential. So there is a situation where they could stay up solely on goal difference as long as they only lose like 1-0.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, they're still
they've done enough. They've done enough in the last couple games. I think that they're going to be safe. But you're absolutely right. They could get drugged back into it very quickly here if they suffer a heavy defeat in the next one out.
I completely agree that they are in all likelihood safe, but it's now made these last 2 games, especially, well, at least this next game against Leeds, they got to fucking pay attention. They have to. They got no choice, man. They better make sure their shit's straight, you know? Finally,
100%.
Leicester and Liverpool. Leicester, much like Everton, they really played Liverpool tough for the first 30 minutes. But then the minute that first goal went in, it's over. Yeah, it was done. And the problem there
a hat-trick of assists.
For Mo, you couldn't score the wide open one that I needed to make sure I hit my bet. We'll get on to that. I got that right fucking here. Thanks a lot, Mo.
I bet real money on that on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm.
$15.
Yeah.
With a profit boost.
Okay. Did you get your Diaz shot on target or no?
No, it didn't matter either because I needed Mo to score.
Oh, you needed Mo to score. Yeah, wide open. All he had to do is put it away. Got a bunch of assists, but didn't actually score a goal. For Leicester, the one thing I think that's worth mentioning about Leicester, and then let's wrap this all up, is they still seem to be oblivious that they're in 19th place.
Yeah, they did a lot of showing the owner, Shinadawa Prava's son, the one that's in charge now, kind of posthumously of him. And he looked abject in the stands, and that's not a good look from the top down. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. And
he just kind of sat there. I mean, for those of you watching, I mean, he just kind of sat there like this during the game.
Yeah.
He didn't really show any emotion. And that's not what you want to see from your owner. You want him to be pissed off. You want him to be cheering the team on or doing this or doing that. And he wasn't doing any of it. He just wasn't really involved. And that's kind of sad, to be honest, because his father was so into it. It's a little bit of a shame. And I would hate to see them go down. I love their story. I love everything, kind of about them over the last few years. But, if they're not even going to try, then fucking good riddance.
It's one thing when the fans are like, you know what? If we went down, it's not the end of the world. We won the fucking league. We won an FA Cup. We've been playing with house money. We've been in the top 10 for so long. And if we went down, it's not the end of the world. I can get that from a fan, from a supporter, because you really have, you're never going to win the league again. You got a title. You got the same amount of titles as Liverpool, for fuck's sake.
Dream.
Right? So if you go down, that's not the end of the world. What is what is the end of the world is when your players, your manager, and your owner all think the same way. Sure money.
Over 36. 35. Over 35. I'm pretty much done and dusted. here on my side of the ledger. So I'm gonna. It's just going to take me a moment to pull up my odds. So, Sam, why don't you go ahead and go and talk about what you did?
All right. Like we said, Salah fucked off on a one-on-one. All I needed was him to score, and I would have hit my fucking bet, and I'm now down $1,452.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
17.647059% of the time, Mr. Graham. It works 100% of the time. For my couple losers... Seriously, Mo? Seriously? That's what I have. Fucker can score those goals like there's no tomorrow. But when I need him to fucking hit a bet, can't fucking hit it. Fucks it right off completely. So, I'm getting away from the Liverpool bit because the Liverpool bit burned me this time. And I'm going to go with a little bit of a risky 3-game parlay, but I want to get under $1,000. Give me Brentford to beat Spurs, Seagulls to beat the Saints, and the Magpies to beat the Foxes at plus 572. So the tough one is, do the Bees beat the Spurs at Tottenham? But everything else, Seagulls are going to beat the Saints, and I think Newcastle definitely beats Leicester. And if that happens, 572, I'm under $1,000, and I'm within striking distance of Pat. So that's where I want to be.
All right, there you go. Not too shabby. I got an email from our good friend.
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
He's a little too enthusiastic at the beginning for what the email says.
Okay.
But I'm going to read it with the punctuation he used.
Okay.
Hey, guys. I had an abysmal week. I thought it was the curse of Chelsea coming back to bite my ass one more time. But when you lose all 3 picks, it's not bad luck. It's bad sports gambling. So this week, I'm going to go really boring and nothing outside of the box. I'm making a 2-game parlay for $250 that pays off at $340. First, I'll take Liverpool to beat Aston Villa and Arsenal to beat Nottingham Forest. I know, not exciting, but I'd like to get just a little closer to even money before the season's over, and the books need to be cleared. You guys have a great week, and don't get too drunk at the Preakness. If you're going...
I do like the inflection you've read it in.
That's a bad bet. Forest is going to beat Arsenal. They're fucking off their whole season.
Fuck you.
And you know
Fuck
Villa's
you.
going to fuck Liverpool. We're on a tear.
I just like the fact that he bet 250, which gets him closer to me if I hit my bet. That makes me very happy.
Point to the doll that says I'm wrong, Graham.
I really like the opening 2 sentences that start, "Hey guys, I had an abysmal week."
Oh my god!
Even in emails,
That's a sentence out of Train Spotting, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Even in emails, he's gold.
He's always gold.
He's fucking gold.
So is that it? Segment over?
Nope. Sam's still got to make his bet.
Oh, I'm ahead of my own self.
Head of words
Chelsea's
too.
gonna beat City.
Oh, you keep it with it. Chelsea to beat City, huh?
I told you, I'm winning the betting or I'm winning the league.
I like it.
I mean, come on, Graham. The last game of the season, you got to do your 10-game parlayer, man. It's how you work.
Well, I will. And here's what's happening, right? So I'm 3,500 down. Okay, there's 38 weeks in the season. We don't bet the first week. This is well documented. I'm going for $200 on this week. Chelsea to beat City at plus 900.
Oh, there we go.
If this doesn't work, City have already won the league. I don't need to stick with the bit. I can do my 10-game parlay for $100 and either win the betting or finish a very even, concise, and no problem $3,800 down.
There you go.
So I'm betting $200 this week to make sure I make up for that first week of the season, plus 900 Chelsea over City to pay me out at $1,800 motherfucking dollars when Mikhaila Mudryk scores a hat trick this weekend.
Very good. Yeah, that'd be perfect, especially after I picked him up and dropped him from my fantasy team.
He won't.
No, he won't. He won't. They're gonna. You know, the one thing that is a consistent is that we have at least one person, well, one poultry that is over 500. It's Kitty the chicken.
one poultry.
Well, Kitty hit with Villa. And
Fox.
she sits at 18 and 17. So this week, I gave Kitty Fulham welcoming Palace. Now, Kitty showed me her ticket to the Preakness, where she will be a guest. She will be a guest in the NBC tent, hanging with. Oh no! It's Rebecca Lowe. But wouldn't you know it? Clint Dempsey is a huge horse racing fan, and he'll be there too. Now, Rebecca is all Palace all day, and Clint is a Fulham legend, so looks like that was a very long horse race to tell that Kitty is taking a draw in the end.
There you go. Yeah, sometimes I like to mix it up. I'm sorry. Sometimes Kitty's ghostwriter likes to mix it up for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixing up. Do you know what you don't want to mix up?
What don't you want to mix up?
Your beers and your liquors, but you also don't want to mix up your bets. So that's why you always gamble legally and responsibly.
Championship corner!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh no!
This should be pretty easy. It's just a couple of playoff games, right?
It's just the 2 playoff games. It would just be nice if I remembered it was happening. Because I just bottle killed a second bottle and I was twirling it for the camera.
I know. Very good. Not preparing yourself.
That's brilliant. And I
do know we are
a very unfortunate person.
I
can't fucking find
Graham, while you're pulling it up, I can tell you we are one step closer to a Tyneware derby. They got one in.
So Sunderland won.
Yep. Sunderland won.
That's good news. What about the other one, Sam?
Well, I'm going to go. Oh, it's my segment now. Okay, I hear you. I'll go ahead and pull that up.
Here we go. Coventry and Borough tied 0-0 after Sunderland beaten Luton Town 2-1. Now, these are first leg ties, so they still have to play those second ties on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, which is through the magic of radio today and tomorrow. But yeah, so Sunderland take a 2-1 lead to Luton Town, and then a 0-0 draw between Coventry and Borough. So that will be decided on the day on Wednesday, which will be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you watch the final. The final is going to be a cracker no matter what happens, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Well, it's always fun to watch that match. It's the wealthiest game in all of professional soccer. It really is. It's who gets up to the Prem. And, you know, outside of Borough, I'm rooting for all 3 of those sides. Like Luton, Coventry, or Sunderland, all of them I'm glad to see them get back up, you know? So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap it up, boys and girls. It looks like I'm missing Mr. Graham here on the picture. Do you still hear us in the audio, Mr. Graham? There he is.
I had to reconnect my AirPod.
Oh, all good. So, Mr. Graham, any parting words?
Nah, there weren't really any guns this week, so that's good. That's helpful. So we can wrap this up, I think. Double bottle kill Monday.
Very good. Well, I'm going to go make another gin and tonic for myself and my lovely bride as we get ready to do injury time, where we're going to preview the week's action. We're going to talk about the beers we've been drinking, and we're also going to go ahead and check in on our adopted clubs and talk a little bit about League One and League Two as well, and their playoffs and what's going on there. So should somebody want to find injury time, Mr. Graham, how do they go about doing it?
It is www.patreon.com patreon.com/DFootballShow to find all your extra stuff. $5 a month. Very easy. And Carly says I'm not doing anything to help us move. This is one less thing we got to carry.
Yeah, exactly. Good. You know what? Good work. It's the little things, Graham. You know what? Kill a bottle of gin and feed your child a plate full of bacon. You are father of the fucking year right there, my friend.
Hashtag winning.
Till next week, everybody.
Charlie Sheen.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Huston.
Sam Huston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub the Malört. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
United!